Welcome to A Valiant Effort. I'm Ted.
And I'm Nick, and today we're driving a 2019 Golf R.
There is a faction of people who would have you believe that the Golf R isn't exciting enough, lacks passion, and sounds like shit. We'll let you in on a little secret, though. Only one of those things is true. This intake from Integrated Engineering is just so much fun. Because let's think about what we're in here. What's the downside of the Golf R? There's not a lot of downsides. One downside is it's a 4-cylinder. And I know Nick talked about this a little bit, and I know, it's like, okay, yeah, look, obviously it's not going to prevent you from buying the car. You want to have a car with this performance, with this comfort, with all of the stuff that we've talked about, or will talk about. I don't know what order I'm going to edit this in, but yeah, it would be nice if it had a 5-cylinder. Of course it would. Of course it would. So, would it be cool if this had the RS3 drivetrain? Absolutely. But it doesn't. And so what's the downside? The sound. One way that you can make it sound better is if you put this Integrated Engineering intake on it, because it's hilarious. And I'll stick it in manual mode here, drop it down a gear. Oh, it's very fast. Look, I mean, oh God, I don't drive fast cars a lot. So, obviously I'm not a fast car guy. This is plenty fast, unless you're used to a 720S, I really don't see, and this is stage 1, by the way. So, stage 1, I believe this is APR. Stage 1, that's like half throttle, not even. It's really a delightful car to drive.
I think Teddy and I can agree that overall this car is a great daily driver. It has a really nice tech features. The MMI is great. The screen is great. The digital dash is really nice. But, on these back roads is where this car really comes alive and where it really shines, especially compared to the A3 that we just reviewed. This car is it's so planted, and the brakes, the pedal response, I mean, you can push it as hard as you want, and you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper into these corners, and then accelerating out of the corners, you just, mid-corner, you just plant your foot, and the car just pulls its weight through. I mean, it's incredible. The limited grip doesn't exist. I don't know how someone could want more than this in a car that you're going to drive on the streets. Yeah, maybe a Civic Type R is going to be better or a little more fun, but for the average human that's driving on the road, as it is, you're already going to be doing illegal things to even push this car to 8/10 or 9/10. Do you really need more?
I don't know. There are things wrong with it, obviously. It's not a perfect car, and it doesn't, it doesn't always make me smile. I think if I drove it every day like Nick did, I'd probably get a little bored of it. But you get bored of any car. So yeah, it's a fun car. It's stable. It's quick, and you'd be surprised. It goes through corners a lot better than I anticipated that it would. And I've had a lot of seat time in this car at this point. It's just really direct. There's not like, oh, we're stopping at a stoplight. You know, you can't feel a ton of the road, but you know, look, I'm not going to try to pretend I'm some kind of amazing driver who's like, the camera is communicating to me. I really don't know what I'm talking about with that. You know, I've never driven on a track. I'm reviewing the car and telling you, is it fun on the road? And I think it is.
I mean, as you'll see right here, coming up to a corner, I mean, just foot to the floor, the entire corner, and just never. And then you quickly stomp on the brakes, you're back to doing normal speeds. Not that we were doing anything illegal. I mean, this is where this car and the engine and the transmission are so perfectly paired and balanced. And, you know, in sport mode, well, I guess it's really called race mode in this car, it's just, the throttle response is just, it's perfect. Like, you tip in a little bit and the car goes. If you're not in manual mode, it's really, really good at knowing when to downshift. You know, like right now we're on the highway doing 70, and you know, the highway is, you can be in race mode to be on the highway, but you have to be above, let's see, if you drop down to 67, maybe you're in a little bit of, you know, some slower traffic, this and that, it's gonna automatically downshift into 6th gear if you're in race mode, or, you know, you have the transmission in sport. So then you're gonna have to get back up to 79 in order for it to upshift back up to 7. And that to me is kind of frustrating. So generally on the highway, I'm always gonna be in comfort mode, or I'll, you know, tap the shifter down, put it back into drive. But overall, I mean, you could really drive this car daily in race mode, especially, you know, I think if you're maybe a little bit younger, you don't have any back issues, I could understand how someone older like may think that this car is uncomfortable. Like Teddy's back can act up. He probably wouldn't find this enjoyable to be in race mode. But really you can, but at the end of the day, do you have a need to be on the highway? Probably not. You know, so generally I find comfort to be a little bit better. You know, just try to conserve a little bit of gas.
Here we go. So I'll put it in race mode now. Just, you can hear the sound difference, the sound actor or whatever it is. So I'm gonna take this little turn here. So, oh dear Lord. Oh, wow. Wow. Ooh. Okay.
There's eco, comfort, normal, race, and then there's custom. There's an on-ramp, and we're at the speed, more than capable of merging. You can basically customize it into anything that you want, or if you go from comfort into sport mode, that's going to change things like the dampening on the suspension. It's going to change the throttle response. It's going to change the weight of the steering. This car does have dynamic steering. It's going to change, I think it pumps in a little bit of fake sound. Not really fake sound, but it pumps real sound into the cabin. You know, I think it sounds good. I know it's not for everyone. I could live without it, but I'm not opposed to it. And, you know, I think that there's a really big difference between the three modes, or, you know, comfort, normal, race. More often than not, I would probably find myself driving in comfort. Teddy will talk a little bit more about how comfortable the car is. One thing to note is this car does have basically brand new Continental DWS06s, and it really did make a big difference in how the car rides compared to the original tires, which I don't remember what they were. But just something to note, if the car is a little uncomfortable, it may actually be due to your tires and not actually the car's suspension.
Now, it's significant, the difference between race and comfort. This is a pretty bumpy road, and it's a little jostly, but with the old tires, it would have been absolute garbage. Like bone shattering, or I don't know, head shaking. He has DWS 06 something 6, I don't know, whatever. We'll link that in the description. The tires he has, they're nice. So I'm gonna go put it back into comfort. Come on, into comfort. You go. There you go. And instantly the ride smooths out. So it really is a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. This road still sucks though. It's gotten worse. So yeah, just know that, with a good set of tires, this thing's really comfortable in comfort mode, and it's really capable in race mode.
The DSG, I mean, if you've watched the Taos video, we talked about how jerky it was in first gear and how a lot of that we contributed to the actual DSG in that car. But in this car, I mean, first gear engages extremely smooth, and then just every shift in comfort, it's comfortable, it's fine. It's impressive, like, don't get me wrong, but then you put it in sport mode and the shifts are just so crisp. I mean, coming up to a stop sign here, it doesn't matter how many gears in a row you throw at it, it just keeps downshifting and downshifting, or it'll just keep upshifting and upshifting, and every time it's just perfect. It's so nice. Now, this car does have a stock exhaust, so you don't really get a lot of like DSG farts or burbles that you've probably heard of before. From the outside, you might get some, but I don't really think that from the inside. Like, the exhaust note really isn't the highlight of this car. In my opinion, the highlight is, you have something that you can daily drive so well, something that's so balanced, and kind of the jack of all trades without being 75 grand. I mean, like, it's so impressive. I mean, it really is. It's just, whatever you throw at it, it just goes and goes and goes. The power band is really nice in this car. I find it very uncommon that I'm, kind of wishing I was in a different gear, especially in auto, or wishing I had more power somewhere. It doesn't leave the car in an awkward rev range if you're on back roads.
The performance is fantastic. Yes, it's not the ideal track monster when compared to the Type R or Focus RS, and it's not the incredible rally car the STI is, but it is a phenomenal car on the road. And hey, isn't that where you're going to be driving it for the most part? That said, as a road car, it's clearly meant for daily use. So how does it stack up to its competitors here? This is really nice. The steering wheel feels and looks great. Everything that you touch, all the touch points are really nice. I don't have many complaints. And these seats are so much better. They're so much better than the GTI. How is that possible? They're not that different. But these seats are just way better. They support you, I think, better. My back doesn't bother me at all driving, the R versus the GTI. And the GTI seats I thought were kind of hard, honestly. These are much softer. There's a defined squish to them. Is this the most comfortable car? No, definitely not. I mean, I think it leaves a little bit to, it doesn't leave a lot to be desired, but a little bit. The S4 was infinitely more comfortable, and I think the A3 we did a Should I Modify on last week, or whatever, 2 weeks ago, was more comfortable than this. But it's just fine. Nick drives a lot of miles, and though we thought the Taos was more comfortable, though I think my 15-year-old Honda Accord is more comfortable, this is very comfortable given what it offers, and given that it's way more comfortable than the GTI too. That still, again, I just can't get over that. But that's just my perspective. Look, maybe some of you are going to be sitting there yelling at your computer screen or your phone going, no, my GTI is just as nice. It's just as nice. I just don't think it is. And I like the GTI. I really did. And I still do. And that's probably the only one I could afford. So, If I bought one, I'd probably end up in that. But that said, if you can afford a Golf R over a GTI, don't get the GTI. Just don't bother. This is better. It really is. It's better in interior quality, in comfort. The tech's the same, so if that matters to you, the tech's the same. Everything's better, just period. So the question that we ask pretty much in every review since we came back from our hiatus is, does the car relax me when I drive it? And all three cars we've done Should I Buys on since we started thinking about that as an essential question, the answer is yes. Again, this car does relax me. The tech is terrific, and it's all right here, and it does this cool thing where you put your hand up, and it, just like in the Taos, it's all within reach. You can control stuff on the steering wheel. The buttons are nice. Again, if you want to know our thoughts about that in depth, check out the Taos review. But we really like the screen in this. It's easy to navigate. The digital gauge cluster is lovely. It really is. It's pretty configurable. You can do stuff with it. I just, the tech in this car is really good. I'm not going to talk about the Mark 8 and where it went. But if you're looking at a Mark 7, Mark 7.5 Golf R, it's great. And it is easy to use. Climate control is easy. It's all easy. And easy, like, it's fairly intuitive. I really, really like it a lot.
The interior, yeah, there's certain things, like it'd be nice to have the ambient lighting all the way throughout the interior. It'd be nice to have a 5-cylinder. It'd be nice, to have 400 horsepower from the factory. It'd be nice to have a true quattro system. But this car's $42,000. The reality of the situation is that you're not going to get all that and keep the car at this price point. And I think that that's something that a lot of car reviewers are like, well, it'd be really nice if it had this, and it'd be really nice if, it had this, and, they're cutting costs and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, like, is someone buying a $40,000 car, or are they buying a $60,000 car? Because I can tell you all day long, if this car was $60,000, I'd go out and buy a second S4, because the S4 interior, the quality, the fit and finish blows this out of the water. That being said, I think that a car of this size is more nimble than some of the bigger competitors, like a 340 or an S4 or a C43. And, that's something that kind of drew me to trying this after having my S4. I had a 2015. And so far, I really do enjoy it. We did just buy a 2020 S4 as well as our second car. We did get rid of the Taos, and it's a great car for my wife. I don't find it as engaging as this. Obviously, the V6 in that car is probably the biggest thing, aside from the interior quality and all the materials. But overall, driving that, I think I'd be bummed if I sold this and bought an S4.
If you want to know more, we've covered this interior extensively in our GTI review and in our recent Taos review. Suffice to say, it has one of the best MMI systems of any modern car at or below this price range. At least we think so. It also has that fantastic digital dash and a whole host of buttons and knobs for all the important things, so your eyes don't actually have to leave the road. Mark 8. It's not perfect, but it's high quality and livable, and let's be honest, as a daily, you need that more than you think. Now, if you're in the market for one of these, you might be wondering, what is it like to maintain? You've got to do stuff to these to keep them reliable. The simple version of that story is basically this. Change your oil. Be anal about it. Every 35,000 miles, you get a DSG fluid change and a Haldex fluid change, swap, flush, whatever. Do that. Be on time with it. And the car will reward the car will reward you for it. It really will. At least that's the experience people have been having. That's the experience that Nick has had so far. Anyway, he's gonna do the DSG stuff in about 10,000 miles. Reliability is tough to discuss with late model cars given minimal long-term data. But we do know the 3rd Gen 2-liter is a fantastic engine, and it's been a dependable workhorse for VAG for the last few years. Maintenance is key, as we've said, so just don't treat it like your mom's 2002 Toyota Camry, and you should be fine. If you didn't already notice, Nick and I are both big fans of the Golf R, so stick around while we share our final thoughts.
I just don't think 4-cylinders sound good. And exhaust, in my opinion, doesn't really help. I think Teddy and I have talked about that in the past. You know, the A3 definitely sounded a little bit better than this, but you sacrifice drone, and exhaust could make certain things more audible, like the DSG farts, and maybe add in some cracks. But, you know, if you like burbles, then a 4-cylinder is great. You can make a 4-cylinder sound even worse, and you can use burbles all day long and have everyone hate you. It's just not really something I'm interested in. But I think that maybe a little more of like a crack, or like hearing, like you let off the throttle and it's like a natural, like kind of burble. That could be really invigorating.
Look, it really depends on what you want. Do you care about sound? Do you care about speed? Do you care about handling? Do you care about comfort? What is it that you want? I mean, if you want a raw experience, this isn't really going to offer you that. That's kind of what I wanted. I bought a Miata. Go buy a Miata. Go buy a BRZ. They're going to offer something more raw, more exciting. You're probably going to laugh more. It's going to be a more playful car. But this car is fun. I think this does something really special, and it blends performance with comfort and with usability in a way that I think very few cars do. Especially in this class. And also it literally blends in physically. Do you think you'd be able to hide in your Type R? Probably not. The Type R is a ridiculous looking car. The Focus RS is a wild looking car. This, nobody notices me. So maybe you'll get into less trouble. Is the Golf R the most fun? No. Is it the fastest or the craziest to look at? No. But it's probably the most comfortable and the best blend of all three. It's not our first choice for the track, but if you need a daily that can excite you with its speed and tremendous capability while also not adding 40 years to your spine, the R is our pick. Thanks for watching.
I think I'm really ranting for myself right now, Teddy. But if you want to keep any of this, you can.